Hello friends, this is Ganesh and video number 2 on BDC. In this video, I'm going to explain the another concept of BDC is session. So there are two types of BDC where we can write two different ways of code BDC program. One is using call transaction, another one is session method. So today we're going to see session in detail. Comparatively, session has more benefits than call transaction because call transaction depends on SE38. Once your program done, come out of your screen, all the logs, detailed information about the transaction will be lost. But BDC session is going to be executed in a different transaction, SM35, independent transaction. So whenever you create a session, it creates it in SM35. Then from there you can execute, you can process, and all the logs is going to be maintained in SM35. Okay, so that is easy way to just see what happened in future as well. So that is a way session is always best and preferable in a BDC concept. And there is a question like if suppose a transaction doesn't have a BAPI at all, then how can I transfer the data to a relevant tables? So the answer is simple. That is only BDC. But if you just check, as per my knowledge, the transaction which updates the data, it may be create a document, create master data, whatever it is, it has a BAPI, okay, from SAP side. So probably you might have seen there are very rare transaction where the transaction update the data, because we have a lot of transactions. It's not every transaction is updating the business data. One is for report, and only few are updating the data in the backend system. So most of the transaction which update the data, we have a BAPI, but there are some scenarios where the customer requirement is little tricky and we are not able to achieve that using the standard BAPIs. Okay, if that is the case, yes, we don't have an option and we have to go with BDC concept only. So that's what I'm saying. BDC is not recommended. So until you have all the alternative in the place for your own business need. Okay, so business scenarios are differ between the people, between the developers. So it depends on your business need. You have to find out the exact BAPI to update the business data to our database table. So if not, the last solution is BDC only. So if it is a BDC, go with the session. Okay. So hope this might be clear, and let me get in the slide first. And today I'm going to show you how to create a standard way of creating a program in a standard way using SHDB option. And I'm going to take MM01 as today's transaction to record and create a program for it. So everything I'm going to use MM01. Okay, let's get into the slide first. So this is an existing slide. Like we have two options, call transaction and BDC session method. And this is created by SHDB. Suppose a program is creating from SHDB. So we have an option, like we have an advantage, I can say. You have a call transaction and session method. There is an option, either do you want to execute this program through call transaction or a session method. That is an advantage. And it can open to see the call transaction error log. Okay, so that's what I mentioned. If you have SM35, yes, and the program is generated from SHDB, then you have an option to hold or create the error information in SM35. Okay, only the error, not the entire detailed messages. And suppose 10 records, 3 gets error, only that 3 is going to be saved in SM35, not all the 10. And by default, the source file from the application server. Okay, this by default, this program has an input screen and that accepts only the file, your source file from the application server, not from your desktop. If it is required, again, it's a custom program. You have to additionally add it or modify the screen where you're going to get the source file from the desktop. And as a business, normally they won't keep the data in the desktop. It should be in a very secure place, probably going to be in the application server only. Maybe desktop is for your own testing, I can say. Okay, and okay, So the way how the program is going to write for BDC session, it's almost same. Probably three things we are going to add. That's all, three function models we are going to add it. Okay. So the first one is open group, the function model called open group. Here I'm going to give what is the session name. It starts with any alphabet. It's not required for Z or Y, but you have to follow your customer naming conventions. And then I'm going to use the same loop, screen instructions and call transactions and everything. But here I'm going to replace the call transaction with another function module called BDC insert. So whenever there is an open, it should be there should be a close. So after the loop, I'm going to use close group. So open and close is after the loop, and inside the loop, every record is going to be used a function model called BDC insert. So this is the only change is going to be happen in the program level, because most of the code is going to be the screen instruction. Okay, these are one-time activity I can say, and this is anyway in the loop. So this is the way the program is going to design for the session method. Okay, and yeah, that's it. Let's get into the system. Okay, now I'm going to start record my transaction. So that is mm01. I'm going to write it. So go with new recording, material recording, mm01. Advisable as or preferable as keep your data ready, especially for mm01 transaction, because sometimes we have to go with the F4 help. So for the recording level, don't prefer F4 help, because F4 help is also an event. It has its own OK code. It will going to record that also. Then what happens is every time you're not preferred to go with F for every record in the when running the BDC program. So you're not preferred to go and get the help, get the value from the F4 help. So that is the reason don't use F4 help. Keep your data perfect, then do the recordings. Okay. Start recording. So I'm going to give the one as 31. Enter. So I need 1, 2, 3, 4. Continue. So plans 1000, storage location 0002. I don't have more profile right now. Continue, and this is test material SHDB, and then basic unit of measure. This is it's automatically comes here because I have already run this mm01. Okay, so keep the values are ready for your recording. Whatever fields you want, just do one more time. So before running SHDB, just create 1 or 2 times with your data. So make sure you're not getting any error while do the SHDB. Enter, and here I go with this profile, and I'm going to indicate this check mark also. Enter. This one is purchasing, so probably I go with purchasing group. Yeah, that's it over here, and enter. MRP type, recorded points, MRP controller. So these are, I just came to know while I'm creating a material with these values. It gives automatically the message like enter recorded point, enter MRP controller, enter lot size. So that is the reason I know that what are the values to be entered while finishing this material creation, and enter. It will ask you want to say yes. So done, and better go to display mode. You want to change? Yes, I want to save. You want to save, sorry. So this is the recording. Okay, so this is the transaction, screen, program, values like by default cursor and OK code, material, what have I entered, and C and FERT. You know about the technical settings of a list box, right? So whatever you're seeing, the chemical industry, that is for as a text for a display purpose, and inside there is a key for each value. So that is going to be captured in SHDB. And this is for second one. So I have selected 4 different views: basic 1, 2, purchasing, and MRP1. So that's the reason it just captured what are the views is got selected. And the next one is for, if you double click, you'll come to know. Yeah, organization level like plan, storage, location, those informations. It's a little lengthy recording, and here it's a lot of things, fields and everything. So don't worry about it. Once you're good with the recording, you don't worry about how many fields it has. Okay, almost, so we go almost 91 lines of that. Okay, so finally, if you want to save the material first, I just click yes. Now, how to create a program for this. So if you want to create a test data, just go and do a test data, and I'm going to create a program. Okay, let me do a test data also. Select a record. Material data. So you know where is getting stored. It's stored in the dir temp folder. Okay, so we are good now. Now I'm going to create a program. So like this, using this option, I'm asking to create a program for my transaction, because the transaction is very big, right? If the SHDB recording is very big. So if you want to write manually, it will take a lot of time. There might be a mistake. So what you can prefer is go with the option like create program option, but manual is required or advisable for a very small enough transaction, maybe 10 fields max you can write it. So once you have a experience writing a code manually, then it's very easy to identify the issues in the BDC program. Okay, that's why I prefer just at least one or two programs create manually, and click this create button. It will ask what is the program name. Here it starts with ZRY CGI MM01. So field contents is going to be read from file. Do you want to create a what's it called, test file? I have already created it, so I ignore this option. Or you can use this option to create it. Both are doing the same functionality here. And create. It creates a file in direct temp. So continue text BDC for MM01 executable program. And here there are two new options for you, like go to the source code or display or change option. You don't have a save here, okay, because you are creating a program from SHDB. So similar, some changes in your dialog box. So just click save, so click source code, then you'll get a save option. Go to local object. That's it. It's created an active program for you. Okay, you don't have to activate it. If there is any change, if you do, you have to activate it. But initially, it created an active program, and there are some instructions for you. Please do not change few informations over here, because it affects the program. So these are the fields which I have to give values. Okay, I believe it has like 12, 15 or 20 fields. I believe, I think more than that. Yeah, these are the fields which I have to give value from my internal table. And here, as I mentioned, this program doesn't have an option, by default option doesn't have an option to get the data from your presentation server file. It has only application server only. So that is okay. Before that, if you see the program, everything is in the subroutine. So yesterday we have created everything in direct, so they just done everything in subroutine, because anyway the field is going to repeat. So field values is going to be changed, but the field is going to be, the field names are same for each record. So that is the reason they have everything in a subroutine. Okay, so if you get into that, and okay, one more thing, the include program, once again, go back. Yeah, so that is the include program. Here it is. Okay, by default they added an include program. This is a standard include program which has all the subroutine definitions. Okay, so if you double click, if you're on a change mode, if you double click, system understands you're going to change the particular standard object. So that is the reason is asking the access key. So if you option, just go to display, or you start from display mode and double click. So here there is a okay, we'll go to screen a little later. I want to show you the subroutine first. So if you go to Dyn Pro, okay, there's a change mode. So here they mentioned clearly, they captured what is the program name, what is the screen number, and Dyn begin. So here, let me go with the display mode. So they're passing the value program and Dyn Pro. And then next they are passing the BDC cursor and BDC OK called field values. So field, if you go and get into the subroutine of this, very simple, they mention what is the F name, and go here. What is the F file? Go to this BDC data. So yesterday I used IT underscore BDC data. If you double click, so you're able to see what is the structure on it. BDC like BDC data. They used occurs 0, maybe a very old program. So this is act as a entire internal table. It has a header as well as body with the same name. Okay, same way they have the message tab which receives the data from call transaction method. Then go back, it's BDC data. Yeah, the same way they mentioned dyn field and everything. Whenever there is a change in first 2 or 3 fields, especially 2 fields, then again they start from here. Okay, so the screen number is getting changed, 60 here and 70 here. So again they have to use those 3 fields. What is the program screen and screen number? Okay, and here they get the information. Okay, now go back here. Here they are getting the data from your application server file. So as I mentioned, if I execute this, you're able to see the screen. This is a screen of the particular program. You have an option called session, call transaction, everything. Here data set. So data set is from application server, not from your presentation server. Okay. So if you want to modify this code, modify the screen using your code, I want to keep one more box for presentation layer. Yes, you can do it. Okay. So that's the reason they have open data set. Open data set is the function, sorry, subroutine. You know the syntax to write the or read the data from a application server file using an open data set. And this is the name which we are going to give in the input screen. And what is the additionals? So what is the additionals we have to give? And if it is size upper C is not equal to 0, then it will give an error message. So this file is not open. What is the error? Okay, error opening dataset return code. So that what it shows if there is any error not able to open the file. Okay, so this is for dataset, reading the data from your application server file. Next one is open group. As I mentioned before, here loop is nothing but do and undo, and they have an exit option. If the data set fails, meaning it is not the last record, after the last record the size number is going to be maybe 4. In that case they are just coming out of your loop. So here also they're using a loop but in a different way. It's a do and we used a loop. And if you go to open group, so here the BDC open group function module they have used. Okay, I think I missed the BDC. In my slide, I simply mentioned open group. Okay, so BDC open group, BDC insert, BDC close group. Okay, just make a small correction. So here it's BDC open group they used with a few parameters. I will explain these parameters with an example, so it's an easy way to understand. First one is client. This is a group name. You can give whatever name you want. User, the user who is executing the transaction, and keep, whether you want to keep the particular transaction for long, because okay, not transaction, the session long. The meaning, sometimes what happens if it is success, right, it won't keep the session. So if you want to keep the session, you have to explicitly give this option is X. Hold date is nothing but, suppose I'm running and I'm creating a group. Okay, one clarification, group or session both are same. Okay, so technically they call this group, and by practice we use the session. Okay, session name or group name. So whole date is nothing but I'm creating a session on today. I feel this needs to be run maybe after 2 days only. That is the case, you can give a whole date. So then what happens is, even the user tried to execute, it shows very clearly this session is locked until you have to wait until you have to pass the particular date. Okay, so that is the reason we have to use whole date. So this is about BDC open group. And go back and then do, they started the loop and they're reading the data set. They already opened the file, application server file, and they're reading it. So reading one by one, record by record. Okay, so if the record is not read, all the records are done, it automatically come out of the loop. Okay, otherwise it goes to the BDC Dynpro. So this, you know about the proper instructions which we have seen in the last program cursor, BDC cursor, OK code, field 1, field 2, field 3, and program next screen, again cursor, OK code, and then these are actually views. Which are the views we have selected? Basic data 1, basic data 2, purchasing, and MRP 1. So those things are updated over here, and what are the exact value for it. Okay, so this is the one, and next we enter basic 1, 2, plan details, storage location details, text. This is material text and unit of measure. So everything they recorded the same way. It just return the code. Whatever the recording, it just return the code for all the fields. Okay, and finally you have one more subroutine called BDC transaction using MM01. Okay, and if you get into the BDC transaction, you have two options, right? If you see, if we have seen the input screen, call transaction and session. So if it is a session option, there is a radio button. If the session is got selected, then they will call the BDC insert function module along with the transaction code, which is hard coded in the previous screen, and BDC data. So BDC data is a place where it holds a lot of information for one record. Okay, so that is nothing but BDC data. Last session, last program, I used IT underscore BDC data. Here they use just BDC data. If you double click, you're able to see how they created it using BDC data occur 0 with header line. Okay, and some logs, some returns it comes, and this is for session. And then next one is call transaction. So you know about this syntax. T code using BDC data, CTU mode, these are variables I mentioned, right? So please use a variable, especially for mode, because in quality or production, if someone wants to debug and someone wants to run at least one particular record to identify what is the issue, they can get a chance to modify this variable from E to or from N to A. Okay, and if you see the value by default, they mention, okay, no, this is actually a parameter. So default it's N, but still it's very good because the parameter they can able to modify it. But normally real time we won't give an option as a parameter in a screen level, because sometime if the user by mistake they give something A in a production, that gives an issue. So that is the reason this is a test program. So you have a default option as N. Otherwise, just a variable is good enough to hold the mode value. And this is the update, and final is internal table to carry the messages. So simple. So we're almost done. So here they mention very clearly what happened and what is the message meaning and everything. Okay. And this one, you remember I mentioned, right? You have to go to the message ID, type, message number, and you'll get the message string as well. So you will get it. If you use this statement, you will get it, the entire statement, what actually happened for every record. Then close group, the final one, it's going to use BDC close group, and just use simply close group. It will close whatever the group we have opened it, and if there is any issue, it will give an issue. Excuse me. And finally, this is a basic one. If you open any data set application server, you have to close that also. Okay. So this program is very simple, and only this, if there is any issue, this is the area you have to figure it out, what happened, why it's not updating as per business need. Okay, so rest of the thing, open group, transaction, close group, everything one time activity. That's fine. And one more thing I want to show you here. Yep, so here they, not this one, end of every transaction, they are make sure the particular internal table which holds the entire instruction for one data, one record, is to be cleared. Okay, now I'm going to execute this. Okay, let's execute. We'll start from call transaction, then we'll go to the session. Okay, so first call transaction method. Okay, before that I need to show you the data. I have already updated the AL11 table as per our recording. Anyway, I have created a test data also, right? So the same thing, I downloaded it and modify some values and uploaded it. So you have a transaction ZG3Y, ZG3Z will upload and download the file from and to the application server. So with the help of transaction, I used it, or you can write a simply, you can write a program. Suppose if you have, if you have a time, write a simple program and upload the data, whichever data you want. Okay. So it should be in temp, and as usual I forgot my file name. think it starts with the M. Okay, could be this. Right? Yeah, 31. Yeah, this is the file. So what happened is I copied this and added few more lines and again uploaded, but not in this directory, because if you don't have a directory name over it and you don't have an access, you're not able to open the file through the program. So what I did is already completed, and I kept it in a different directory which has a proper directory. Here it is. So here I'm going to just place the file with some values or materials which is not yet created in the database. So this is the updated file. So I'm going to have two new material details. Everything else same, only the name I got changed. And then I'm going to run my BDC program. Okay. So here it is. Call transaction. So same thing. A and update mode. Probably I go with now it's local. An error session, I'm not going to give anything now because I know this material will go through fine. So it doesn't make any sense if you give an error session here. And I have a keep session on log date. This we'll see a little later. And the data set. So data set could be this one. And file name material data.txt. Okay, so processing mode A. So this is same execution like last time what we did, call transaction program. So it will go and call mm01, continue. It will select all the values, continue, and enter the plant and storage location value from the source file. And then this is basic data view 1 and gross weight, net weight, everything got filled. And enter /00 is an OK code, and DG indicator profile, and this also got selected. Then continue, it goes to purchasing view, and everything looks good. And the final one is MRP1, the values got filled over here, and continue. It will ask, do you want to save this message? And the OK code for save is yes. Yes, I want to. Then it will go and pick the next one, enter, 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 because same thing. There's nothing going to change here. Okay, that's it. Save. So done, and the output shows clearly, and yes, material got created, and yes is success, and material number, whatever name we have given, it's got created. You can just cross verify in your Mara table also. So this is call transaction. Now I'm going to execute the same with processing mode E. Okay, and maybe E or N, it doesn't make any difference. Okay, let me go with N, and I'm requesting to create a error session. Okay, this error session is going to be created in SM35 transaction. Okay, so file, everything is same, execute. So I'll get a message, material already maintained and material already maintained for both, because I'm repeating with the same file, and error session created. Just go back, and what is the error session? mat underscore session. So go to SM35 batch input transaction. So here it's created as session. Okay, maybe the label is error session. What happens is it created a session along with the two transaction, whatever the error comes, right? So here you have to execute it to see what is the error happened actually. So don't think it's have a log which shows error. No, SM35 creates a session for you. It may be a new session, or it may be a session with error out transactions. Okay, so now you have to do it again, process in the foreground, because I want to know what is the error and which screen is got happened. So it's created. Now it's keep on going, selecting this one, and whenever there is an error, it stopped. From that screen it stopped. So here there is an error, material already maintained for this event. Okay, this is a transaction. Suppose if I'm going to change It's like 42 is also created, 43, and enter. Again it starts from first, so it captured only or till the error screen. It's not like again it's going to create or run your transaction. For example, if I show you the same, if I continue with the values, so maybe for the testing purpose it's good, it happened. Okay, so from there is going to continue your transaction. Got it? Save, yes, it got created. And 42, it shows this is created, everything, it's fine, then it stopped. So if you want to start again till this screen, you have to come back, then it will go from here. Okay, so that is the reason. Or you can skip whatever, if you want you can do it. Okay, so just go back, executing. Do you want to kill still the input session? Yes. Okay, then go to session overview. So here it's ended with error. Okay, and whatever have a tick mark, this is processed, but this is created an error session even though we ran it, and one is success, one is error, so it comes into error status. Now you can see the log. Double click, clearly it's mentioned what happened. Okay, so everything is like no input, this is changed, this is changed, very detailed log, which value, which field has which value, so everything. And finally 43 got created, and we tried to use the other one, and then the transaction error happens. So totally two transactions, one processed, one with error. So this is the advantage of SM35. Okay, so still it has an error, and if you want to run it again, yes, you can do it for the testing, so or to understand what happens actually. So it shows 42 is there. So what I'm going to do is I'm trying to enter some different, okay, either the material, or you can change the plant also. Instead of 1000 you can go with 1100, extend your material. Purchasing MRP, done. I'm sorry, session overview. So now the mat underscore session is gone. Okay, so if you go to processed, there also nothing. Reason behind this, I have created a session with an option, where it is here, with the option keep session as blank. Okay, so if you're not selecting this keep session, by default SM35 hold only error sessions, not the processed one. It's a default behavior. So if you want to keep a session, even if it is processed, you want to keep it for your future reference, you have to select this option and create a session. Okay, so let me do one thing. So now I'm going to execute this program again with the same file and keep this option selected, and it shows error, and error session also got created. Let me go to SM35, enter, yeah, and I'm going to process this. Again, this will give an error, but I'm trying to change the values here. Maybe I can say 47. I'll go with 48. Select this. Okay. Save it, and then one more data that is also coming with error. Go with 49. Basic data 1 to purchasing MRP 1 to continue. Save. Yes, done, and go to session overview. So now it shows processed and still it's available. Okay, even it comes in the process also, because I made this option as select. So this functionality is same for session also. Okay, So let's move to session and explain the log date. That is same for here as well. So now session means I'm going to create a session. Means call transaction if you execute, that creates it started moving the data from your source file to transaction and transaction to database table. But session is not like that. It has to create a session in SM35. It's not run. Okay, so one benefit is you can create a session in the morning and you can keep waiting till the office hours is getting over, then your server gets some enough space to run more files or more programs. Maybe in the midnight you can just do a schedule job and you can run it. So the same way you can do it in session also, but that is not possible in call transaction. So here what I had to do was, okay, before that I need to modify my data. Give me a minute. So this is a new file 51 and 52. So now I'm going to execute this with my session, and this is for mm01 creates. Okay, so let me have this keep session. You know what is the functionality now, and the file is same, execute. I didn't use log date. So mention clearly session name and open a session, open session, that open group, and two records. It read record one, record two, and it closes the session. Okay, if it is 1000, you will get 1000 times this line. 1000 records got read. So now go to your session SM35 and go to new. Here it is. MM01 got created. Okay, so creation program and all the information over here. And now if you process, it's going to be a success. So I don't want to go with foreground because I know the materials are not available. So I use display errors only and click process. So it's done. No. No. Oh, really? Something got missed in my file, I believe. Let me see. Okay, this I have to enter manually. No option. Yep. Okay, session overview. It's got creator. So out of two, only one got an error. Okay, let me find out what happened. So this is the one, it's processed successfully. And if you double click, so you'll get process index one, record one, and record two. Excuse me. And if you double click, you will see what are the screens involved, and then log it's created. Okay, so what is the one which, okay, two transaction read and two transaction processed successfully, and this is for 52. And what is the first one? Okay, let me go this way, select this and go to log and double click. So here, yeah, 51 is created and 52 is also created, read and process successfully. Okay, so this is for SM35 session. So it's very easy for the business user also to identify what is the issue, especially if it is 1000, we don't want to hold all the 1000 to see to the business user, maybe only for the error out record. Okay, now the last one is I have to show you the log date. So what is the log date? Let me execute my session with the log date, maybe like 16, yeah, 16/1/2022. I'm going to execute it. Okay, with the same file, probably it'll come to an error once you run it in SM35. That's fine. And go to SM35, enter new, yes, there itself. So here you'll see there are some log dates available. If you select and process, you will get a message the requested session is logged. So that is the use of log date. So it can be run after some batch job or after some event happened in the system, then this particular session is going to be run. So depends on your scenario, you can lock your session also. Okay, so that is about BDC session. And what else? Yeah, call transaction process mode. Log date is here also same, and here it will create a session and you have to run it, and for call transaction it creates only the error session. So just play around with this BDC concept, and if you have any doubt, and let me know. And again I'm saying, if you have an option to use BAPI, better go with the BAPI. And sometimes even a BAPI, your business scenarios differ, you have to go with BDC. And sometimes you don't find a BAPI for a transaction. It's very rare, but sometimes it happens very rare kind of transactions. In that case, you have to go with the BDC option. If yes, better go with session method. Okay. Thank you so much for your time and see you in the next video. Bye.